what I've learned is that the more you just keep showing up and stay in the game, every big win is always behind the hardest moment that you have to go through. Every single one. What I love most about it now is the uncertainty. Like, I love not knowing that everything's going to work out. And I would not have told you that answer even when I first started with this. But the more I don't know what the outcomes are going to be, the more it excites me, because it means that I have the ability to create an outcome that I desire.
Danny, welcome to the podcast, man. Welcome back.
Back,
Round two, right?
Yeah.
Round two. When we recorded our first podcast, you and I together, it was shortly after you started Exit Built?
It was like right at the start of Exit Built.
Okay.
Because I started, I don't remember when it aired, but I started Exit Built February 15th of 2022 or 2023. I think I officially started Exit Built in 22, maybe, and then I officially incorporated in 23. I can't remember exactly.
Okay. What was the idea behind it then, like when you first started? And then how has it changed now to what it is today?
So, I mean, I have been in the digital marketing space for a long time, and I had started a digital marketing company once before I took on like these executive roles at these different tech firms. And at the time that I started Exit Built, my intent of starting it was to go do services to figure out what our problems we could put tech into. So part of it was like the job just before that, I was a chief growth officer for a tech company that built like SaaS applications for businesses. So I worked with a ton of startups, and I saw this over and over and over again where like smart people would get into a room, solve a problem, raise a bunch of capital, or think they solved a problem, raise a bunch of capital, build the thing, and then go out to market to only find out the market doesn't care about it. And so I am watching that happen and play out. And at that time, everybody was dumping money. Like even then, AI was starting to pop off. Everybody was dumping money into this stuff. And I just saw them burn through budgets and just struggle. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it different. I want to do the services. I want to be a service-based company, do all the services, learn the lessons we need to learn, and identify what is in fact plaguing the market, and then build tech on top of it. And then the other part of it was like Exit Built. The original concept was that we were built to exit, right? So my original business model was we would work with startups because I had so much access to it at the time, that and startups didn't have the capital to pay us, but we would come in as their growth partner. They would issue us shares of their company, and we would grow the company over the course of a year, and then they would have the option to buy their shares back at the end of the year at current valuation. So it was all upfront work. It was a ton of risk on us, and I'm not wealthy, and I was not independently wealthy, and I had no financial backing to do it. So it would have just been like more or less charity work for numbers on paper. But that was how it started. And then I had our first opportunity pop up like that. Thank God they didn't agree to the terms, because we wanted immediate vesting. That was part of our deal. Like, we have to immediately vest because we're going to do all this work. You're going to get it, and then we'll turn it back around and clear off your cap table. And they're like, no, we're going to do a vesting period of 3 years. I'm like, well, we're out. And so I pulled out of that deal, and then I was like, okay, I need to get back to like the core of what I want to do and back to the services. So I started doing paid and charged services. So it was 2023 because AI had just started. We had been in the AI game for a long time. The SaaS company I was at in 2020 was an AI company. So I figured out like really how to leverage it for like SEO purposes, which is when we worked with you.
Yeah.
You're actually one of our first long-term customers.
Yeah, crazy.
And then like it morphed from like Exit Built to like we're built to help companies exit the digital marketing dependency. So that's how it kind of started. And then it was just like any new business, man. Just take wherever you can, whoever's willing to give you a time a day, and then try to knock it out of the park for them and scramble.
What was AI like? Because Yeah, what like AI tools or software was available then?
ChatGPT 3.5 had just rolled out in November prior to us starting.
Okay. Before we continue with today's episode, I want to take a quick moment to thank Valley Bank for supporting Palm Harbor Local. I recently moved my business banking over to Valley, and what stood out to me right away was how relationship-driven their approach is. You're not calling a hotline, you're working with real people who understand local businesses and make decisions locally. This episode is supported by Chad Britz, first vice president at Valley Bank's Countryside branch, who works closely with individuals and business owners throughout our entire community. If this kind of local, relationship-driven banking matters to you, you can learn more at www.valley.com or email Chad directly at cbritts@valley.com. This is normally where I read you an ad for one of our sponsors, and today it's me. I'm Donnie Hathaway, and if you've been listening to this show, you already know how I operate. Same guy off the mic as I am on the mic. No script, no pressure, just honest and real conversations. And that's how I do real estate too. A decade in this business right here in Palm Harbor, relocating families, first-time investors, people upsizing into a place that actually fits their lifestyle. It's the same approach every time. I ask detailed questions so I can understand your goals and your dreams. I'll tell you the truth, and I'll let you decide what's best for you. Now, if you're thinking about buying or selling right here in Tampa Bay, that conversation's free. DM me or shoot me a text at 727-240-2425. I'm Donnie Hathaway. Let's talk. Was that when like first?
That was when it first
like launched and became like, oh, everyone knows about what ChatGPT is now?
Yeah, and ironically, we were using a version of ChatGPT, the same exact code that OpenAI had. There was a company that was called originally Jarvis, and it was an SEO writing tool that we used at Scion back in 2020.
I think I remember Jarvis.
Then Jarvis ended up, they got into a trademark war, and it turned into Jasper.
Oh, yeah.
And that same exact code base was literally ChatGPT 2.0. So that was going on. We were already into that back in 2020. And then, like I said, our company was a subset of AI. It was a natural language processing company that we were able to ingest documents, do like sentiment analysis. Kind of like if you upload a PDF into ChatGPT now and you ask it questions.
Yeah.
We handled the onboarding part of that. So the reading of the document, the understanding, the digesting it, and then the questions you were asked were much more manual back then. So it was like you could ask that question, and then we would have to kind of go back in and extract it out by pulling levers inside the system to get the information. But like that's what we were doing then. So AI
is much more involved than just.
Yeah, it's not. There's no prompting.
Yeah.
There's no prompting. So, but yeah, ChatGPT had just rolled out. And immediately we saw the opportunity of like leveraging it for SEO purposes, which is what we did. And that's how we kind of started the whole thing. It was like offering SEO services that you would normally pay $5,000-$10,000 a month for at a fraction of the cost. And that's how we kind of initially started the whole push.
And then where are you at today? Like how has the company changed and evolved from that kind of original concept?
So, I mean, it's grown significantly. Actually, I know the reason why you asked me to come back here is like the big caveat. Like we cleared over $1 million in sales now.
Yeah.
I have a CEO in place, so I'm not even in that business. I still own it, but I have an operator. It's fully on its own. We do everything. We still do SEO work. We still do AI, and now we do AEO, so we're training AI systems. We do web development. And we do paid media management. And we're even now starting to do like physical collateral. We're doing organic social. We're starting to dabble into that space. So like we're starting to really become full scope serviced. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is, and you never know, like my favorite things is like if you look at any of these SaaS businesses like Facebook, the first line that was ever written of code in Facebook, does that still exist today? No, it gets changed and becomes what it is. Now it's Meta and like all this other stuff. And that's kind of how ExitBuilt went down, right? Like it started with these small service-based companies and we ended up growing. And about a year and a half from the time that I recorded that, I ended up getting an investor. not intentionally. We had zero intention of ever raising any money for it.
Mm-hmm.
But trade association called ISSA, which is basically like the world's largest cleaning association. So if any of your listeners have a cleaning business, they've probably heard of it. But we did an SEO audit for them and knocked it out of the park. They were like, this is brilliant. And I ended up meeting the executive director, and we were talking about, I asked them if I could do a speaking engagement at their show, because they host this massive show, 15,000 people show up and everything. And I wanted to talk about just marketing in general and digital marketing in that space. He's like, oh yeah, we'll get you in the show. He's like, how would you feel about investment? And originally I was like, no, like I'm good.
Like investing into the company?
Into my company. And then they're like, well.
Oh, okay. Them investing into you.
Yeah, they wanted to invest into Exabuilt.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm good. And they're like, well, what if I told them, I was like, the only way I would ever entertain investment is like, I don't want dumb money. I don't want people, like I don't need a check.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need money for that. I'm happy to entertain an investment if I have a strategic growth partner. Well, ISSA has 11,000 members, all individual businesses, all in the cleaning facility maintenance space. So I was like, if we do this, then maybe you can open up your membership to me and I can be exclusive. I can exclusively market our services to them. And that's what we did. So they ended up acquiring 10% of the company. I flew out to Park City, Utah. I did my pitch. I got a unanimous yes across the board. They took a small minority stake into the business. And then directly after that, I have a really close friend that I've done a ton of work for over the years that I met back in my chief marketing officer days, Heinz Consulting. And they were interested in what we were doing. So they ended up taking a 5% stake at the time too. So we landed like within 30 days, 2 investors at a pretty decent valuation. I was north of $1 million. And then it was like, okay, now what?
Yeah. What's next?
So that's kind of how the whole thing started.
So like landing those investors, like had you ever been, I'm thinking back, like as you're saying that, to like our conversations running the Causeway, and I feel like this was probably around that same time when those were happening. Like, had you ever been in that situation before? And if not, like, what did you do to go about to kind of prepare and make sure that you did crush it and got what you were looking for?
So I had actually been approached prior to that multiple different times of people wanting to invest. Actually, I had 5 total opportunities.
Okay.
Some of them were investment. Some of them were outright purchase. And so I would entertain all of them, and I'd start to learn what they would do. And honestly, dude, there's so much bogus crap out there when it comes in that space. Like, oh, we're gonna buy your company, but it's not a cash transaction. So they immediately they acquire the majority stake of the business. They give you golden handcuffs and an earn out, and it's like a owner finance situation. It's like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
I had other people that wanted to just be a part of it because at that time, like we were growing, but like we weren't like killing the game. And people, I think, when you're starting out, people, and even like when you're building and you're bigger, people invest in people.
Yeah.
And I just had a lot of great relationships with people with finances and money and things like that. And they've known my journey and what I'm doing. And I think they just want to be part of the upside. And I just didn't want, the biggest thing was I just didn't want dumb money. So I turned down all 5 of those, the acquisitions, all of it. And then leading into those, the first step that you had to do was come up with valuation. So how do you properly value a business? And in the startup world, it's, there's a lot of, I like to use this as an example, like this coffee stirrer, right? At the end of the day, this coffee stirrer is only worth what someone's willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
And you can set whatever price you want. I can tell you it's $1 million. Now, the story that I have to put behind it, obviously it has to be ethical and true, and it has to be defensible. But if I can put a defensible story, I can probably sell it. Did you see the thing that the dude sold that banana duct tape against the wall for $6 million as a piece of art?
No, I did. I
this
heard
happened
about
like
that
a year ago. Or
yeah, I
like
heard
that.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's my point. Like people think that, and I thought too. Like, there's some magic formula or all this crazy math or whatever that comes to valuation. At the end of the day, like, you decide as the owner what something's worth.
Mm-hmm.
You decide your pricing, you decide all of it. And then the trick is the only way you validate is if you have customers that pay for it. So when I looked at Exit Built in the valuation process, I looked at our revenues. I think at the time we were doing like $200,000 in revenue for the year. So, I mean, very small.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't have much overhead. I think my payroll at the time was like $6,000, $8,000 a month, something like that. But we were starting with Go High Level, and I thought that was a direction we were going to go.
Yeah.
So we had a kind of a SaaS application to it. We had a very unique way of working with our customers in the consultative approach because we weren't black boxed. So we were hand holding everything at the time. So yeah, I mean, I took our numbers and then had ChatGPT, right? So this is 3.5, but I started going down that path, and I basically I did a ton of research, like what are digital marketing companies, what's their current multiplier. I did it based off of top line revenue, not EBITDA, because I didn't even have any, like I couldn't calculate my EBITDA then.
Yeah.
So it was like top line revenue multipliers, this space, this niche, the things that we were doing to come up with a baseline. And that's what I did. And then I created a document on it, and then I took that. My brother-in-law is a partner for Citron and Cooperman. So he deals with stuff like this all day long. Mm-hmm. So I took that and I bounced it off of him. I'm like, I need this to be a defensible number. That was the thing. Like, it's got to be defensible. Mm-hmm. I could say 100 million.
You can't be like, I'm just throwing out a number and it's like, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you got to defend it. Yeah. You got to defend it. And so that was the whole goal. Like, can you get the biggest valuation in a defensible number? And then the other part of it, though, too, is like, you don't want to overvalue it and sell it to not hit goals. So like, had I valued the company at like even 10 million at that time, and then sold shares into that, like, then the expectation is that I'm going to hit at least 10 million. Like right now, the company's valued at like 3 million. Mm-hmm. So in theory, I've already doubled their number, or doubled their investment in a year and a half, 2 years on paper.
Yeah.
And so like if you want longer term relationships with investors, there's a really easy way to get more from an investor, and that's be a good steward with their capital.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be fair. I wanted to be realistic. I wanted it to be like as close to reality as possible, but obviously while still being presentable. Yeah. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
And then presented that to them. We agreed on valuation. Once we agreed on valuation, then we went to a term sheet.
Is there any sort of negotiations on like the evaluation at that standpoint? Or they're just like, all right, yeah, we like that. That makes sense.
It depends on the investor. Some investors will want to do, like I pitched to one investor that I thought I was going to work with, and he did want to do a full due diligence. We spent 2 full days skimming through our finances, which $200,000 is not a ton to go through, but we skimmed through everything. He didn't agree to the valuation. But so the other investor, though, with ISSA, they didn't really bat an eye at it. They were like, cool, we're good with it. Yeah. They thought, because at the end of the day, I told them, I was like, I want to be realistic and fair. I'm not trying to fluff this to get I'm not trying to raise capital for me right now. Yeah. I'm trying to get a growth partner to go grow.
Yeah. And they valued you being the leader of the company, growing it.
Correct. So once I signed them, then it was very easy to get the second investor, because we had a growth plan. Yeah. It's like I have exclusive rights to market to 11,000 companies, and I can do it as much as I want.
Did you change your valuation after that? No. Okay.
I could have. Yeah. But again, I operate differently, man. Like, and people will probably poo-poo on me for it. I know I do. People shit on me all the time for my business, the way that I do business, but I believe in honesty, transparency, and I believe in just like trying to be as close to reality as possible with everything. So yes, I had just raised that capital. I closed the investment round. Technically, yes, our valuation should have gone up tremendously because we had access now. But I like the guys and I trust them. And I was like, again, I was looking for more trusted mentors and partners, because there's a lot of things that you don't know in business. Like these partners help me with closing Fortune 100s. You know, like I didn't know how to write an SOW for a Fortune 100. I would have taken my best guess. But these guys had crushed that space already, and they've already grown a service-based business to 12 million in annual revenue. So like all the lessons that they learned, I was like, look, I'm not trying to, I want everybody to win.
Yeah.
And that was the big kind of guiding light through it all. It wasn't about me. It was about everybody that I touched. I wanted everybody to win.
So when you started Exhibit, it was just you?
Just me.
Did you ever picture yourself? Because I know in the first episode we talked, like, I think a little bit more about your background and what you did before, how you got into digital marketing and whatnot. Did you ever picture yourself in this scenario, like with this company?
Like firing myself?
I want to get into that too, but like Exhibit and now your other company too. Did you ever, was that ever like, this is something I want to, like ever a passion of yours growing up, or just kind of like grew into what it is?
Oh no, like, I see what you're saying. Like, did I ever envision myself like before all this, like as being an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I never worked in corporate America. Like when I became a chief marketing officer, I went from a glorified solopreneur gig person who was just picking up gigs to chief marketing officer of a corporate business and an equity holder. Like, and that only happened because I was doing great work in the space and I knew a ton of information around it, but I never had to climb any ladders to get there. I never did the corporate game ever. In fact, I only ever had one salary prior to the chief marketing officer position. I was a food and beverage director. I made $42,000 a year as a food and beverage director for a resort that I never even wanted. I was a bartender there. I was a snowboarder at the time, and I was a bartender just for supplemental income. And they're like, "Hey, we have an opening, and we think you'd be a great fit." I was like, "Sure, I'll take it." And then strategically got laid off 30 days later because I hated it.
Yeah, like that was a bad decision.
Yeah, but I mean, no. I mean, to answer your question, like, yeah, I've always gone against the grain my entire life. I've always had a gravitation to like. I was miserable in corporate America. I was miserable working for somebody else. And prior to that, I never really had, like I worked I was like a snowboard coach under different people, but even then I started my own business. So Exit Build, I think, was like my 6th business or 5th business. A ton of failures prior to that, but like it was my first like probably successful one, but I'd always started up things. Always. So I think, yes, to answer your question, yes, I've always envisioned myself as being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. What do you love most about it?
That's an interesting question because that's changed. What I love most about it now is the uncertainty. Like I love not knowing that everything's going to work out. And I would not have told you that answer even when I first started with this. And honestly, this is like more of this year that I've really found that love. But the more I don't know what the outcomes are going to be, the more it excites me, because it means that I have the ability to create an outcome that I desire. So I've really kind of fallen in love with the unknowns that entrepreneurship really is. And I think that that's probably the hardest thing for most people that want to get into the space, because you don't know. And I think like now I'm calloused because there's a whole other side of my story of like almost, this story.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, like what should I do with my house? Like almost foreclosing on my house, not being able to afford diapers, like all this stuff that I've gone through. And what I've learned is that the more you just keep showing up and stay in the game, every big win is always behind the hardest moment that you have to go through. Every single one. Yeah. So that, I think it's that uncertainty of what is tomorrow going to bring? What is next year going to bring? Don't get me wrong, like getting a stable business feels great. Yeah. It's amazing.
Like knowing that you have money coming in.
Yeah. And like I like looking backwards after something's accomplished and being like, yeah, I've created a stable asset that's growing. But right as I create a stable asset, even like Exit Build, I was like, okay, hire the CEO. You're good. You're running it. It's growing. Awesome. Let me start. I'm going to now build another business. So,
Yeah. Like the uncertainty, what is it you love about, is it just like the excitement of trying to figure a solution out? Is that what it is? Like you've been through it before. Like I know I can find an answer, and that's kind of like the rush, the excitement of going through that process again.
yeah, I mean, if anything, it probably relates to why I was a snowboarder, right? Like when you're the type of snowboarding that I was doing, whether you're hitting 60, 70-foot jump, or you're dropping a steep face, or you're going through woods you've never been through, or deep snow, or avalanches, all this stuff, right? Like there's all these threats of things that could happen. And it's like, can you navigate it? It's almost like an adrenaline junkie part of me that's morphed into this. And I almost kind of get that fix of like stepping into the unknown, stepping into uncharted waters, and then charting the course. And it's like, it's part adrenaline. I mean, it's a cocktail, right? It's like norepinephrine, it's cortisol, it's dopamine, it's adrenaline, and it's all kind of mixed together. And that, like, I've grown to really like doing that, even though I'll still complain about it.
Yeah, because it can't be. It's not easy, and it's never easy, right?
No.
It's not ever going to be. You know.
No, it's not easy at all.
So what do you do to make sure that you, I guess, get through it without? I mean, I think you said it too. Like you got to keep showing up, right? And like that is, I feel like that at the end of the day, like if you keep showing up, like you're gonna figure things out. But that's also the hardest part sometimes, is to keep showing up when there's uncertainty or, you know, some difficulty, some challenges and stuff. So how do you keep showing up?
So for me, I learned this when I hit rock bottom. I was in Oregon, and this was, I think, before the food and beverage director position that I had mentioned before. But like I hit rock bottom. I was living in I was subletting a room from somebody else. My now wife Brittany was with me. I was dead broke, and like if I made $20 in the week, I would spend it on booze. Like, and I was late on rent. I was late on every bill. I didn't even know what my credit score was then, but I was terrible probably. I was stealing cigarette butts out of ashtrays and smoking them because I was also a smoker at the time. And I remember like I was in this kind of slump and just like going down a bad path. And one morning, I'll never forget it, I woke up and I looked at myself in the mirror and something clicked, and I was like, I still have me. I still have me. Like it dawned on me. I'm like, I'm late on all these bills, but what's happened? Nothing. Still have me. Bills are still there. People are still wanting their money, but I'm here. Consequences are still right around the corner, but I'm here, right? Like, and that understanding of like that you still have you is when I first really kind of believed in myself, like really believed in myself.
Yeah.
And so I got creative and I started a cannabis company and bailed myself out of that problem. We made $8,000 in like a span of a couple months. We circumnavigated Portland and all the different dispensaries, and like it all happened within 3 months. And that was a wildly powerful lesson for me to learn. So as fast forward to now and the things that I've gone through with this entrepreneurial journey, and like to answer your question, like how do you show up when you understand that you have you and that's all you need in this world, you can handle anything. And so it was a combination of that. It was a combination of Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership, and accepting that everything in my life was my fault, the good, the bad, the ugly. I deserved it all. And being okay with that, and knowing that, like being okay with it in the sense of like what's happening right now, I deserve because I created it. And if I created this, I can create something different. And that was enough for me to show up over and over and over again and never bail, even when it got hard.
Yeah, I love that perspective. What about, let's jump into Exit and hiring a CEO probably pretty early on, right? Like after you had those partnerships, those investors. What led you to that decision and why?
So the CEO I hired, his name's Neil, great guy. He was one of my first hires when I was a CMO.
Yeah.
He was my SEO manager, and he got promoted there. And then I got him placed at Heinz when that company went down. And then when I took the investment with Heinz, he was still at Heinz as their VP of marketing. And not more than a month after that investment, the owner of Heinz called me up. He's like, "Hey, I think I'm going to let Neil go, but you should bring him on." And I was like, "Let's do it." And so I talked to Neil. He was game. I could not afford him at the time.
Yeah.
At all. But I took the risk. It was my first 6-figure employee that I ever hired and figured it out. And so from the time that I hired him, it was about a little less than 2 years that he went from VP of marketing to chief operating officer to CEO. And Neil, like when people tell you to hire, they tell you to hire for your inefficiencies, right? Like things that you lack.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Neil is. And I've always known that about him. I always joke, I'm like, he's the anti-Danny.
Yeah.
I'm the big dreamer. I think about 10 miles down the road. Like I'm living in this uncertainty space. He's like, I want stability.
Yeah.
I want consistency. I want documentation. I want process. I want all these things that I lacked. And so he really helped me a ton in the early stages of like everything from like, what are we doing here? Like we have no process for this. Let's put a process in. Cool. Put the process in. Right. Why are we selling this package? We shouldn't sell this package. We should stop selling this. We're promising the world. We can't promise the world. We can only promise these things. Mm-hmm. You know, those are tough pills to swallow. He was right. Mm-hmm. And those things led to bigger growth, and those things led to more scale. So fast forward and to, when was it? It was like fall of last year, so almost about a year ago. And I had been working on this. Like I mentioned before, Exit was do services so you can learn the problem to solve. And I had known that the biggest problem in digital marketing that I came across over and over and over again, it wasn't messaging, it wasn't funnels, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. It was audience. It was getting the right message to the right people. Mm-hmm. And because of my background and being in the government contracting space, I had access to really unique data sets that allows you to, that I ultimately figured out, which I'm sure you're going to ask me down the stream, but like I could figure out how to build advertising audiences of the exact right people that you want to send ads to, which means that now your message is relevant. So that we had started last year, we piloted this concept around, and we took on a couple small businesses and some bigger ones. We even got a Fortune 100 and to test this theory out. And it didn't just work; it blew it out of the water. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. The results were through the roof. So I realized I had something, mm-hmm. and I finally this was the whole purpose of starting Exit was to do this. So originally, it was going to be a subsidiary of Exit, and I was going to keep running Exit, and I was going to have this second thing that I was going to build. And then I realized that the legs and the size of this business, of what it could be, it didn't make sense. So we separated the entities and we created a Delaware C Corp around this business. And then I found myself in a situation where I was approaching like, oh shit, I have 2 businesses. Mm-hmm. And if you ever read any guru or entrepreneur that's like been in the space, like one business, that's like the cardinal
Crush it
rule.
in one business. Yeah.
Do not do multiple.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I gotta move Neil into this position. The other thing that happened is, and I'm sure other small business owners will relate to this, one of my weaknesses was business finance. So Exit, the business accounts was also I treated it like a personal checking.
Yeah. The
family was short on cash and we needed groceries, pull out the company card.
Yeah.
My accountant had a heyday. I screwed up our books terribly. Like destroyed our books because it was so hard to delineate what was a personal expense versus what was a business expense. Yeah. And I needed to break that habit. And again, extreme ownership, right? Like I knew that was my fault. I knew I was hurting my business. I knew that I was a chokehold of my business. And at the end of the day, it's like you ask yourself, if your employee was doing what you're doing to your business, would they still have a job?
Yeah, probably not.
No. So you fire yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I say fire, but I still own the business. I became the chairman.
Yeah.
That's what my title is.
Yeah.
And I gave Neil a chance. And so it was at the beginning of this year, like maybe April or March, he officially got promoted to CEO. Mm-hmm. And within 3 months, he doubled the business.
Great. Great decision.
Yeah. And there's another part of it too, that you realize, like, you don't, at least for me, yes, you start things because you want to make money. Yes, you start things because you want to get rich. Yes, you start things because you want to make the best life for your family. But as you go down the path, it's never good enough to do it just for you. Mm-hmm. And I realized that. And I've loved Neil, and I've always wanted to see him succeed since the day that I hired him fresh out of college in 2020. And your dream has to be big enough to hold the dreams of others as an owner and as an entrepreneur. And that's kind of where I realized, I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, I can remove myself. I'm going to stop doing these things to this business. I'm going to give you full control. Meanwhile, Neil's telling me how he's got, 12 months of his rent stocked away, and he's like got all of his personal finances in such order. Like he went months without pay at certain periods and all sorts of things to help support the business. So like his loyalty was there. He suffered through what I was suffering through with me. Mm-hmm. He chose to do that. He didn't have to. Mm-hmm. He chose to stand by me. So, yeah. So.
Did you ever read Traction?
Mm-mm.
We talked about that before?
I want to read it, though.
Okay, because that's the same concept like what you just talked about. Like you partnering with Neil in Traction, they call you the visionary. You have the vision and stuff, high-level relationships, all that kind of stuff. You're kind of directing like where the company goes. And Neil's the operator, the integrator, who is like taking your vision and making sure that it happens, mm-hmm. But it's like the theory is like, or the concept is every successful business has those two people at the top. They have a visionary and they have an integrator. Yeah. And you need that. And it makes 100% sense, right?
Yeah. And I think depending on how people do it, I know plenty of entrepreneurs that all they want to do is they want to do fulfillment. Mm-hmm. They want to operate the business. Yeah. They want to see the products all the way through. Yeah. And that was like, I did a ton of the fulfillment work early on, but I liked going after the next thing. I liked creating the next thing. I liked looking for the next problem to solve. Like I said, I found out that I love the uncertainty versus the certainty, right? Mm-hmm. So like, and that's where it was like, well, get out of their way. And that's the other thing too. Like early on, I think even before I promoted him to COO, it was when he was VP of marketing, he was working with the team. And at that time, all of us, like I was in every meeting with the dev teams. And Neil pulled me aside. He was like, dude, I want you out of these, get out of these meetings. Because like they're there to talk about one problem that they're going to solve in that meeting. And I'm like, what if we built this?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, that's a cool problem. We could build an entire solution. And then all of a sudden, the devs are like running all over the place doing all this research. Yeah. And Neil's like, what the fuck, dude? Yeah. Like, we're trying to get this work done. Yeah. So that was a big indicator, was when he was like, dude, get out of my dev meetings. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, I probably should promote you. Yeah. Like, it was, you realize like where your place is. So yeah, it's interesting like how it kind of comes about.
Yeah. And then the new company, what's the name of the new company that you have now?
Allora Labs.
Allora Labs?
Allora
Labs. And the concept around that is you are creating these audience, or you have these audiences for businesses?
Yeah, so basically what happens is the easiest way to describe it is we build advertising audiences. So think meta ads, Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, connected TV, anywhere that you run ads, we can build an audience that you can service ads to. For those that are aware of this space, like we're not a Zoom info. We don't sell lead lists. We don't sell names. We don't do anything with private information. It's all encrypted data. But essentially what happens is when you use apps on your phone and you check that little box and you're like, yeah, you can do whatever you want with my data so I can use the app. Those apps, like Waze is a great example. Google owns it now. But like at the time, the way they made their money is they would encrypt the data and then sell the data. And that data comes with encrypted information about who you are and like your device, but it also comes with locational information. And it's not just, it's true for computers, or tablets, all this other stuff. They call it digital exhaust. So all of this exists and all of this has been happening. A lot of people don't realize it, but it's been happening for the last decade. So we happen to have a relationship and we figured out a way to take that data and convert that into an advertising audience while staying totally compliant across the boards. And that's what we did. So we can look up, the way that we do it's a little different than some other companies, but what we basically do is we go time and place of where we think the prospects would be. So like a good example of this would be like a conference. So you want to go talk to a bunch of other realtors and you know that the realtors go to this one big conference. We can go to that conference and we can say we want to capture everybody that showed up to this conference and build an advertising audience off of it. And that's what we do. So, and what's cool about it is it's very non-invasive. So we don't, like, we're not hacking phones or anything else like that. We don't see any user data. We don't see what people do on their phones. None of it. None of the data even makes sense to the naked eye.
Yeah.
And but you can take that and ingest it into the ad platforms and then they can break it down and de-encrypt it and to create the audiences. So it's a way to talk to the right people, and it's actually, ironically, it's even preferred to go this route because it's all pre-vetted data that's safe to advertise to because it's all double opted in. So like that's what we did, and that's what we solved, and we are confirmed that we are, and confirmed when I say confirmed, the largest media buying agency in the world is Omnicom. They own 25% of all media buying power in the United States of America. And we've been confirmed through them. We are the only company in the world that has this capability to do this.
Crazy.
Yeah. So that was the problem that we wanted to solve. And I think like if you look at the basic digital marketing equation, you have audience, message, and if you have the right audience and the right message, you get a conversion. Message you don't have much control over. All businesses are going to want to have different messaging. You can always try to massage messaging.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're stuck with leveraging top of funnel stuff. And there's a ton of ad waste. And that's what most small businesses experience. Like we've experienced it. It's called top of funnel fatigue, where you're spending $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month over month, with zero results.
Yeah.
And then you get the vanity metrics that everybody ends up hating because the business owner is like, well, I want to see tangible results. And what we've learned in doing it this way is, and this is like something newer that's going to come out from us, but we're actually going to fight that narrative and say vanity metrics matter, but we have tangible results that come on the back end. The difference is that for instance, engagement rate. Like right now, we're averaging 240% more engagement in our ads than anything else. And that's
if I were just go to Facebook and be like, run an ad for Palm Harbor.
Yeah, because if you're wanting to target because think about it, if the audience is a known entity, if you know exactly who's going to see your ad, then you can tell their story.
Yeah.
Right. So the message,
your message.
It becomes a lot more relevant.
Who are you, what businesses are you working with? Are you targeting? Do you want to work with? Who benefits the most from running ads in this way? Any business?
So, yes, we've worked with everything from small mom and pops all the way up to Fortune 100s. And the ideal customer for us is going to be someone who has an existing, They've been running ads before.
Yeah.
They have an existing capability. They either have an ad team, like an internal media buying team, or they have a trusted agency that they've been working with. And they have preliminary results. That's where we make the biggest impact, because the first thing that we typically do is we go take a campaign that you've been running, clone the campaign, and use our audience with the same everything else, and then just look at the results. And those are the ones that we always outperform on. And not just that, I mean, then once you get into custom ones, but that becomes the easiest path to see the value.
Yeah.
Versus someone who's never ran ads before. Because at the end of the day, like, there is no, I don't give a shit who the agency is. There is no black box miracle money printing machine that I don't care how good you are, what your track results are, what your case studies are. I do not care. There is no reality where you can just install a system, you stick $1 in, you get 4 back.
Right.
Doesn't work that way if you've never done it before. And that's the biggest misconception in digital marketing. And somehow, even still to this day, they think, oh, I can just throw on digital marketing. No, you're building an entirely new arm of your business. You're building a brand new capability if you've never done it before. So does it make sense to go this route when you've never done it before? Probably not.
Yeah.
You should probably go the other route and go learn the lessons.
Yeah. Spend a few bucks. Don't go crazy.
Yeah. And
out.
Stop worrying about, like, can I get my return this month, next month, this quarter, and start realizing, like, I'm going to invest a year's worth of strategic investment. I'm going to put in 50 grand, 60 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand, whatever it is for the scale of the business this year to learn this capability. And once I have it, then I'll go and I'll look at other solutions. And I think, like, it's funny because, like, if you talk to business owners and you ask them about how much they've invested to get to the product that they sell, I don't care what the product is, the time, the energy, the sweat, the stress, all of it. It's years of effort to get to this product, to get to the delineating factor. Yet we're just going to assume that digital marketing can just
flip a switch,
be your revenue engine in 3 months, and people promise that. Is mind-blowing. That's the thing.
So it just reminded me of the conversation with our friend Jake last night that we were talking about, like, his journey on YouTube and how long it's taken him. I think he said 18 months that he's been making videos to get to this point where he's, like, starting to see success and get results or whatever. But he's been, like, committed for 18 months of making weekly videos multiple times a week, sometimes, multiple videos a week, and just stuck with it. Right. And that just goes back to, like, what we were saying before of just continuing to show up day after day.
Have to, man.
Have to. Any of that stuff takes time, whether you're building a business, running ads, whatever. It's just like a year plus, like,
any facet of the business. Yep. And it's like, and I just think people get lost in that. Everybody wants the easy solution. They want the Ozempic for their revenue. Like, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest misconception out there. But yeah, I mean, we're primarily working with big businesses, more established marketing firms, bigger budgets. That's where we're heading towards, businesses that go to trade shows, and they're willing to spend $100,000 on a booth or $200,000. Like, one of our businesses spends $1.5 million to go to one trade show, soup to nuts for everything.
God damn.
So, like, if you're spending that kind of money to go to a trade show to shake hands, then spending an extra $10,000, $20,000 to get your message out to every attendee there makes perfect sense. If you're willing to spend $10,000 to get your logo stickered on the wall for people to walk by, it makes sense, right? So, like, that's the type of businesses that we typically target.
Yeah. Makes sense. Do you see yourself bringing on investors for this company, or are you just...
We already have.
Okay.
So part of, again, here's another interesting story that not many people know. Keep in mind, I had existing investors inside of ExitBuilt that had already committed to the pot. And when I came up with this solution, this idea, it was going to be originally a subsidiary of ExitBuilt. And they all got jazzed up about it because that means that ExitBuilt's valuation is going to go up. And they're vested into it. So they started to help me with the process, introducing me to people, bringing in revenue, all this other stuff. And that was our whole piloting year last year. And then when I made the decision, because it just made sense, it would have complicated things and muddied the waters had I made it a subsidiary, because what if I wanted to raise capital for this business? What if I wanted to take this business public? Be a whole mess under an LLC. So I made the decision to do a Delaware C Corp, and then I had to make the decision on what I'm going to do with my existing investors. And this is where you find really interesting feedback, because the company at that point, we had just closed a Fortune 100, and we got them on a 4-year contract, like a big contract. We were already post revenue. Like by the time I incorporated, we had already cleared $100,000 in revenue, and that was within the first 2 weeks of the year. And so I could have easily put up a valuation of $1 million or more, like way more. But this is going back to doing the right thing. So I went back to my 2 investors, to ExitBuilt, and I explained to them what I was doing, and I explained to them that I'm going to stand up this C Corp, and I offered them founding share stock prices. So they spent, quite literally less than $100 to get what they would have had in terms of shares to get into the business. So I basically grandfathered them in. So I did that with them. I took on another investor that we did take on a $1 million valuation. He came in, and he's been amazing and been a mentor of mine for a long time. So we did take on some capital initially, and we will probably do a bigger capital raise. As a matter of fact, we have an opportunity this year, by the end of the year, to take on a larger capital raise, and we probably will, because this is one of those things. And it's interesting as you learn this process of business, and I'm not trying to pretend like I'm some guru, but just my experience, again, the dream's got to be big enough that other people's dreams can survive. And if you bring on the right investors that have growth opportunity, that can literally flip a switch for you, and you get access to a ton of revenue, why not let them share on the upside? There's another part of it too. When you have something like this that is as scalable as it is, meaning I can build one audience and sell it multiple times. I can, I can do these things. My scale is massive. The potential to do this. The digital marketing spend every year, I think the last I looked at it was like $350 billion in the U.S. alone.
That's crazy.
Just in ad spend. So do the math. You can capture 0.5 percentage point, and you're huge. So the size in which I can take this thing really makes sense to bring on the right partners and to do capital raises. And this might even be something that, like, my one investor, he's famous for taking companies public and unicorning them. So this might even be something that we might even consider ringing the bell at some point.
So when you're bringing on partners or investors, like, what's your process for vetting that person out? It sounds like some of them you've had relationships with them in the past, right? So there's some rapport there, but I think that's something I think about a lot with when you're growing a business, is you got to bring on the right people, because I've had other people on the podcast where they brought on, partner with somebody, but it was the wrong person, and it totally shut the business down. So what's your process for vetting that individual out, or company, or whatever it is?
There's two types of investors that I look at. I have investors that I look at them, and I'm transparent with them, that are investing in the growth of Danny as an entrepreneur. So that's one facet of it. So that individual has to have completed something that I want to do. They have to have done something similar. It doesn't have to be the same thing. It doesn't have to be in the same industry. But if, for instance, the one investor that I brought on, they built a service-based business. Now they're an outsourced proposal shop. They build proposals for government contractors, but it's still a service, right? Just like we do servicing in the digital marketing space, they do it there. So they built a service-based business at $12 million in revenue per year. So I brought them on to help Danny become a better business owner of a service-based business, to help me learn what they've learned and mitigate risk and mistakes. So that's one facet of the investors. The second facet of the investors that I look at in terms of criteria is growth. So that means that it would be a no-brainer to bring them on. In other words, the valuation and what they put in and the money and all that other stuff actually really doesn't matter all that much. Mm-hmm. What matters is are they coming with a book of business? Mm-hmm. Are they coming with access? Are they coming with potential buying customers? Is it a one-to-many kind of situation and they just want to partake in the upside because they know without a sliver of a doubt that their customers are 100% going to buy this thing?
Yeah.
And that's what we look at. That's how I look at it, at least. Like
So it's really the money is irrelevant, right? You're just
the money's irrelevant.
What are they bringing to the table?
I think that's another piece that people miss. Like, I think there's this like, especially on like social media and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's this like false sense of like, I raised $10 million and I got this and that, and like VC money and things like that, they all have their place, but that money isn't yours. And like, I just think people miss the boat on that. I think founders, when it comes to that space, if you have the mentality, like, let's go back to my mentality of showing up when things get hard. Mm-hmm. I don't need anybody's money.
Right.
I will make it work. Mm-hmm. That's my mantra. I don't care what it is. I will make it work. I will show up when it's hard. I will deal with everything I got to deal with to make it happen. So I'm only going to allow money to come into the business if I know I can be a good steward with it. And the only way I know I'm going to be a good steward with it is if they come in and either A, they believe in me and they see my potential, or they come with the ability to open up the doors to business. Mm-hmm. And they want to partake.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, outside of that, then I think it's different. And I think where people get, like, I know I have people in my life that have done 50-50 relationship partnerships and things like that. And they're like buddies and they want to grow something together. And like, I would always err against that. Mm-hmm. I would never advise to do that. And if I would always advise minimum 51-49.
Yeah.
I would always advise that, like, if money's coming to you, like, be weary of the silent investors. That will turn you into a job real quick.
Yeah.
Because if you're promising them that you're going to double their money, or if you're promising them that you're going to start giving them distribution, or you're promising them that they're going to get out of their principal in X amount of time, mm-hmm. that's their expectation. Mm-hmm. And if they're not vested in you and they have nothing else to bring to you, then they're looking at you like a stock. And if you're not performing, then they're going to figure out how to get rid of it, or they're going to, worse, come in and gobble up more of the business. And eventually now you have a glorified job.
Yeah.
So like, I just think people just miss the boat on why. And I think that's the important part. Like, you got to be rock solid in your why if you're going to bring on anybody and you're going to touch anybody else's money.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. I love that too. I want to ask you one last question before we wrap up here. What is it like, looking back on kind of everything you've gone through or, accomplished with Exit and now Allora Labs? Like, what's the one thing that, like, if you had to point to one thing that allowed you to reach this level of success and build all these things, like, what would it be?
So many different ways you can answer that, right? Like, and so many different things. That's a hard
one, I know.
But if I had to boil it down to like one thing, it's getting your mind right about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Mm. And that's why it's like a multifaceted thing. Like, I went sober. I started working out. Like, if you look at I remember you showed me a clip of the last podcast. I was like fat. Like, I looked terrible because I was still an alcoholic actually at that point. But getting my mind right about so many different things, that extreme ownership, like accountability, like, that's such a big part of the mindset. It's showing up when everything inside of you is saying it's failing. It's showing up when everybody's laughing at you. It's like I can't tell you how many times I've made a post or something and I've just gotten a ridiculous amount of backlash and so many people hating on you, telling you that you suck, that you're stupid, that you're gay, that you're ugly, that you're this, that you're that, that you're not qualified, all this other stuff. It's showing up when you can't feed your family. It's showing up when you're about to foreclose on your house. It's showing up like the more you just stay in it and like you have that mindset of like, I still have me and I can create whatever. I've created everything else and I can create this. It's that mentality that's going to get you through. And it's that, like, people say, like, it's the winner. Like, you have to win, period. There is no other option. You win. And I think that's been the mentality. It's just like, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. I have no doubt in my mind I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Win, how big, whatever it is. That win might be that I got out of bed and I showed up to the office and I didn't even touch the computer, but I showed up. Like, that win might be that I spent the extra time thinking about that deal. That win might be going to the gym. That win might be spending time with my family. Like, there's so many different ways that you can chop it up, and all those things play into it. But every step that you take should be something that's pointing you back into that direction that is going to fuel you and keep you going for the hardest moments that you're going to face. Because, like I say, the best things that you're going to find in this world and in entrepreneurship are always, always, always going to be on the backside of the hardest things you're going to have to do.
Yeah. 100%.
Always.
Love that. I was, when you were saying that, I was thinking back to like when we used to run the Causeway in the morning. And I think I remember when we first started, or there was some conversation about like, we started consistently running on Fridays, and it was like the idea of like, you're taking care of your mind, getting in shape and that sort of stuff. And then your business had grown at that point too. Right. So it's like all that, your business and life is all tied together. And I love that you brought that up, and the mindset, how important and valuable that is.
I'll tell you that, like, any of the business owners that are listening to this, if you're overweight and you're struggling in your business, start going to the gym and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, it's true. Like it's amazing how your bank accounts reflect what you do in the gym.
Yeah.
Which is just like, it's so
you feel better. You're in a better mood.
Yeah.
All that.
Because you accomplish something. It's like the idea of making your bed in the morning. Like, you accomplish something. You do something hard that you don't want to do. And it's the delayed gratification that comes with all this stuff. And it's like that's how you show up. It's like knowing without a sliver of a doubt that your time is coming, your win is coming, you will win, you are deserving of the win, you're going to make it happen, and then you can go through the muck for as long as possible, and it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
And the longer you have the mindset, the faster things start to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, go to the gym.
That's it, man.
Go
lift weights.
Go lift weights.
I love it, man. Well, dude, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of everything you've built and accomplished and stuff. I'm grateful to have you as a friend, and grateful we get to record another podcast together. That's Danny Murawinski, the founder of Exit and Allora Labs. Now, Danny's journey has been incredible to witness, and I hope that it inspires some of you to chase after your own dreams as well. Now, if you want to follow more of Danny's journey, then you can follow him on Instagram at Danny Murawinski. You can find us, Palm Harbor Local, on Instagram at Palm Harbor Local. Thanks for listening to another episode. We'll see you soon.